All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. So I'm here to answer some questions. Some students gave Ms. Stratton some questions. She's going to be asking some questions, and I'll be answering them. This is in regards to some of the information that's come down through the media from our superintendent, as well as that's trickling down to your teachers. As I've had conversations this week about our numbers of teachers that we have. And before I even start, I just want to summarize a very simple way of understanding this. This is going to be a simple transition that's going to occur, and we're going to get it done before the 9 weeks, as that's a natural time to make some change take place. So typically, we're given a bucket of units, and so these units are our teachers, our resource support people, and everybody. So this was given to us last year before the pandemic, and it was given to us based on our number of students at our school last year, which we were close to about 1,360 or 70 kids. So that's a lot more than we have now. And so now we look at our enrollment and we see, okay, we're missing about 100, 110, 120 kids this year from last year. And so since the kids aren't at Burns Middle School, then the units we were allotted last year are going to be reapportioned to other areas of the district where they do have those students or where our students move to. So as that change takes place, some of your schedules may change. In fact, there will be a lot of changes. We have about over 8 units that were moved and reallocated to other areas. So next week there's going to be a process in the district to determine where those teachers are going. So how does that affect you? That affects you in a couple ways because some of our classes are small. Some of our classes may just be deleted, and then other classes will absorb that small class. In some instances, we'll have just a class that will have a new teacher in there or another teacher, and we'll just add a few students in that class. So it's going to look different for everybody, but rest assured, we will communicate with you. In fact, those classrooms that are going to be greatly affected, we're going to be coming in today and having some conversations as well. So let's shoot with some questions.
Okay. They want to know why or how were certain teachers picked to not be here anymore.
Okay, so that's a good question. And so here's the process that occurred. So once the district said, Burns, you have this many units, then it was, okay, well, where do we need our units? So there's an amendment to the state constitution that requires our class sizes to be set at 22. And so there's a school-wide class average that has to be at 22 for the core classes. So if we look at that, then we understand where the number came from of units that we are allotted. And then at that point in time, the district then said, here are your units, then here are the teachers that are going to be displaced. So HR, which is our Human Resources Department, coordinates that effort and lets us know who will be adjusted or who will be reapportioned to another school. Now, let's say, for instance, that a position is not available at another school because this is district-wide, and a lot of schools are having declining enrollment, so that less kids this year. So as a result of that, there may not be as many vacancies or openings for teachers to go into. So if that happens, we still have to make the adjustments to schedules here because we still have to be fiscally responsible and making sure that we're spending our money efficiently. But what that means is the teacher would remain here in a different role until a vacancy or another teaching position opened up somewhere in the district where that person would go into. So I hope I answered that question.
Okay. I think you kind of already answered it, but they said, is everybody's schedule going to change?
Is everyone's schedule going to change is the question. I would not say everyone's schedule, but I would say there's going to be an impact. It may be a direct impact or it may be an indirect impact. Like I said, your class may change, especially if you're sitting in a class of about 10 to 15 kids, because that's way under the class size of 22. So if you're sitting in an elective, it may change because we may lose a couple of our elective sections because some of our elective classes are low. So it doesn't mean that you will have you will lose a whole elective, but it may mean your elective may be different. So it's hard to say because it's going to be by a case-by-case issue. And Mrs. Palmer, who creates the master schedule, is actually creating 2 master schedules again. So we're looking at those kids that are here face-to-face, and then we're looking at the schedules for those kids that are brick and mortar. And so some of the teachers that are being reapportioned to other schools, they may be doing e-learning classes. And so we are needing to support them in that transition as well, because a teacher may be coming in who hasn't done the e-learning class. So there's going to be some transition and change, and rest assured, look, we're going to get through this. We understand it's a difficult time when we have change, but also understand to be fiscally responsible in the district, which is what Addison Davis's main concern is these are necessary cuts. So to get a little bit deeper, I mean, think about getting in debt, right? So if you're in debt or if you owe money, you want to get out of debt. So he's taken out a loan with the district to pay teaching salaries. And so, some of the information that's coming down the pike is that we're trying to be, over time, fiscally responsible. That means responsible with our money as a district and how we spend it. I personally don't get money from the district. So the district controls the finances, and then they tell me how to reapportion the teachers.
All right, last question then. I think they want to know, when are they going to know their new schedule?
Okay, so good question. And that we still don't know yet, but I can tell you it's going to be pretty soon. So the end of the 9 weeks is next Friday. So you want to make sure that everything you need to have into your teacher is in, because really it's going to be a very hard deadline. So that affects you, number one. Number two, we're looking at making those changes in the system, but you won't be able to see those changes until the new 9 weeks. So we're waiting on some communication from the district today. So usually on Friday I get a brief from the district that lets the principal know of some more details. This has happened quite quickly. We knew it was coming down the pike, but in terms of the details and doing the schedule changes, it's going to take some time. So administration is going to be working overtime to make that happen and to make those adjustments. And as soon as we have those adjustments made, we will be communicating that to you. So we're going to communicate as much as we can. So communicate with your teachers. Your teachers are doing a fantastic job in supporting you all. Tonight, I'm going to send out a parent link to your parents that's very similar to this discussion that I'm having with you now. So they are kind of understanding of what the impact is at Burns Middle School. So I'll come back on next week, because it's going to be almost a daily thing that I'm going to have to kind of tell you where we are in the process, and communicating with students, but also the faculty, and letting everyone know. So I appreciate all the questions. I know if you do have further questions, there's an administrator at every lunch period. So if you have questions that's on your mind or concerning, or you're worried about, or is some anxiety, or just curious, go ahead and ask us. I know several of your peers that are running for student government came to me yesterday. And so, not to tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you, there's some people that are real concerned about the rest of the students, and they're speaking up and asking questions and trying to understand, what's happening. And so it's good. It's a great process of democracy in action. So continue to reach out to us, and we'll be available for you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Stratton.